While we're still on a subject of props, we definitely need to talk about the children props because they will gonna allow us to render the content between the opening tag and the closing tag of the component. And let me show you how this is gonna work. Before I do that, maybe let me show you that this is not gonna be an error that we're getting in a console. In fact, this is the warning that let's say we're not using the variable. So this is not gonna make to break the application. Instead of these are more like suggestions. And the same would work if I'm opening up my terminal. You can see again, there's going to be some warnings that we're not using the variables. Since we already covered the structure in the last video, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to delete it and we will going to talk about the children props right now. So let's say that I have 3 persons. And for the person number 1, there's going to be some specific info. So I'm going to say person, and we would like to render some more things in between the opening and the closing tag of the component. So let's say there's going to be some paragraphs, some info about me. And again, there's going to be way more complicating things later on that we're going to be rendering. But for now, let's just deal with whatever paragraph we have. And then we're going to save it, but nothing is going to change. So we're still seeing this paragraph. We're seeing that, yeah, we should be rendering it, but this is not showing up. And the naming here is important. I know that I have been repeating a lot of times the Mamba Juice and Grandpa Bobby and all that, but in this case, the naming will gonna matter. And I'm gonna head over back again to my component, and I see that I'm already doing the structuring. And I can give you a hint that whenever we were looking at a props, then the children is gonna be special key on the props object. So it would look something like this: props.children. However, in this case, I'm not going to be able to access this because already we are doing the structuring. So we are looking for specific key in already our props, and then we're looking for these values. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to say children, since that would be the second thing that's going to be on our props object. And now I can just look anywhere in my component and decide where I would want to render those children. So I'm going to say something like this. So I'm going to say here, then I'm going to be looking for the children. And the moment I'm going to save it, notice what's going to happen. So what I'm having here is some info about John. If I want to move it up, I can say here, you know what? Yeah, the info is going to be right after John. And again, this children props is only going to work with a person number 1 because we're just passing here. If we're not passing any kind of children, they're not going to be rendered. However, in a return, we can clarify where those children are going to be rendered. Now, again, in normal case scenario, if we're not passing the nested object, you're just going to be able to access it props.children, where you can do maybe the structuring. So again, you can write something like this. And again, I'm going to be commenting this out because this will going to be throwing us error because since we're already doing the structuring up here on the top. And you know what? Yeah, let me rewrite it just so this is more a little bit clear. And I'm going to do the normal destructuring. So let's say that I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to say we will going to be passing props. So first and foremost, then we can comment this out because I will going to be accessing the name, job, and company already here from the props. And why don't we console log it? Because maybe this is going to give you a clearer understanding that for sure the props are there. So the moment we say it, first of all, it says the children is not defined. And of course, because I'm already acting as if I had destructured them. So why don't we do this? Why don't we say props.children? Like I said, this is how we would access them. And then we see that for the first one, we do have the person, which we're passing in as a prop. And then there is this special children prop. And even though we're passing in one paragraph, this still is going to be children. However, like I said, we can have anything what we want here. And say a div here. Then I'm going to say this is going to be side by side, as well as some heading 1. Some heading, and again, this is going to work exactly the same. Some heading, some info about me, and then rest of them. And then if I'm looking in a console, I obviously have the children, and then within the children, this is going to be a very complicated thing that we're looking at. There's going to be props, there's going to be type div and all that. So we're not going to be worrying about that right now. But in general, just understand that in order to access the children, you do need to use the actual naming for the props.children. And again, we could have destructured this. Let me write this one more time. Const children. So we're going to be looking for children. And in this case, we're going to be looking for the props. Since now we wrote normally, and in this case, obviously, we can just access it as children. And this is going to still work exactly the same way. So really, really important. It will going to come up later on, especially with children. So just try to remember that if you want to render something in between the component, you need to use the special children prop.